Hello everybody, Mannix here. It's time for a little versus video on the Spyderco Manix G10, going head to head against its older brother, the Manix G10 XL. Both some of my favorite EDC/tactical folding knives out there. Currently, as of super early 2024, the smaller one right here, which they just call the Manix G10, has a retail price of $216 MSRP. And then our Manix XL G10, $274 MSRP. In the aftermarket, I'm currently seeing these smaller Manixes and G10 go for about $150. These Manix XLs around $190. Doing a few calculations here, we're getting about 15% more knife here or so, and we're paying about 25% more for that. Same exact materials, both have the G10 handle scales, they're both wearing the S30V blade steels, they're both tip-up carry, both pocket clips are swappable to the left sides, so they're both completely ambidextrous, they're both wearing the cage ball bearing lock. By the way, this is not from a knife, actually, it's from a cheese grater. One thing that is kind of funny to me, though, I will say, the Manix XL has skeletonized liners, aggressively milled out liners in there, while our smaller Manix G10 does not have any skeletonization in the liners whatsoever. I heard there are variants of the Manix, I do a lot of different sprint runs and such, that do have the skeletonized liners, but the standard G10 Manix, as far as I know, does not. Which is kind of surprising to me. I'm used to Spyderco knives with steel liners being skeletonized, and for whatever reason they just did not do this on the standard size G10 Manix with the standard steel. Both still fantastic knives. Let's now just get the specs out of the way of both of them. Our smaller Manix G10 up here has an overall length of 8.03 inches, the blade length 3.37 inches, the cutting edge length of the blade is 2.88 inches, blade is 0.125 inches thick, and the handle length being 4.66 inches, weighs 4.9 ounces, stone wash finish on the blade. Now, as for our Manix XL, overall length is 8.94 inches. The blade length is 3.85 inches, although its cutting edge length is 3.36 inches, and the blade thickness is also 0.125 inches. And the handle length is 5.09 inches, weighs 5.2 ounces, satin finish on there. They're both FFG. Very, very similar knives. As far as bang for your buck is concerned, neither of these are cheap. They're both very, very expensive. Again, starting at around $150 for our small Manix right here. You're going to spend on average about 40 more bucks for the Manix XL. We're getting about maybe a 15% larger knife. Although their thicknesses are the same, the width and the length of the Manix XL is larger. Materials are exactly the same, although one advantage the Manix XL does have right off the bat, again, skeletonized liners, so its weight is not exponentially heavier. It is heavier overall, but because they skeletonize it, actually you're getting more bang for your buck as far as weight is concerned. A little bit longer cutting edge right there if you're just going to be talking about the blades. I really, really like the extra length of the handle because we have a larger butt right back here. So it kind of acts as a guard for our pinky. We can choke up on it just like that. However, our smaller Manix is perfectly capable of doing the same thing. We also can choke up on it. We can do the standard grip down here. We just don't really have a guard. So you can see the difference. Both jimped on the spines of the blade, very nice and sharp, like Spyderco always does. Got some jimping on the exposed liners up here. They're both wearing those really large, I call them back spacers. Technically, they just accommodate the cage ball bearing locking mechanism. I have a video on how that works, and I have reviews on both of these knives individually. Exact same pocket clips, which again are both swappable to the left side. They both have the exact same size lanyard holes, which I really like. They have a nice little tube in there, so your lanyard, if you choose to throw one in there, will be nice and protected from the cutting edges. Now, one thing you can see as well is that the Manix XL is going to show a lot more out of your pocket. You're going to have this pretty much poking out. You can see the blade quite visibly there. Most people can probably tell that's a knife, even non-knife people. Regular Manix, on the other hand, a lot more covert. Pretty night and day difference as far as the carrying with the pocket clips is concerned. We're getting a little bit of a longer blade. with the XL Mannix, just a little bit more cutting edge right there. And then I do like that guard we have down here too on the handle. But if we're talking hand to hand, as you can see, just me holding both of these knives in the standard grips, because the handle length on the Mannix XL mostly just counts as an extra guard beneath our pinky, not for anything involving the bolster area, we're not really getting much extra length because of the handle. In fact, we're basically getting no extra length. It's pretty much just boiling down to that cutting edge the blade has, almost down to every single last detail. The knives are pretty much the exact same construction with the exact same materials. They're very, very similar. Again, satin finish blade on the XL, stonewash on the smaller Mannix, and then no skeletonized liners with the smaller Mannix, skeletonized liners with the Manix XL. Manix XL, obviously it's going to be a little bit heavier, but when we're looking at the full ratio of the size to weight, we actually have a better value as far as weight is concerned with the XL because it's skeletonized. Price, I still think the smaller Mannix is a better deal, because again, essentially, it's the exact same knife. And I do like that stonewash finish more. I'm a sucker for stonewash finishes. It still gets the job done. It still works well. It's the same thickness. It's the perfect size, I think. It's medium, larger blade. I love the cage ball bearing lock. One of my favorite locking mechanisms ever. It's ambidextrous. It's side actuating. It's really fast. It's got the fidget factor. Manix XL, no exception. Also very fast, just as strong. We just have a slightly longer, slightly broader, bigger blade. Ergonomics are excellent on both of these guys. I'm going to give them both a 10 out of 10. But again, we just have a larger guard for the bottom of the handle for our Manix XL, but we're not really getting any extra length with the handle. Again, we're still choking up the same amount. It's going to boil down to the length of the blade. That's where our extra length is coming from. Although, of course, the overall length is longer if we're having both of the knives start from their butts. But when we're actually putting them next to each other as far as our grips are concerned, we're getting just that much extra cutting edge right there. So not really significantly larger. If I had to pick one for tactical use, yeah, I'm going to pick the Manix XL. A little bit heavier, but as far as its size is concerned, it's really not that bad because it is skeletonized. It will show a lot more when you're carrying this thing. It's a lot less covert. If you can't decide, I would just pick the regular Mannix G10. It's one of my favorite knives ever. You're going to save a good $40 or so. Yeah, you're getting a slightly smaller blade, slightly shorter handle, but unless you really, really want to absolutely max out your length and overall width of the knife, it's not really necessary to go with the XL. I don't think. I would just pick the regular sized Mannix, to be honest. And again, I really like that stonewash finish. But both great knives, both expensive knives too. We're approaching $200 on the Mannix XL, and already $150. That's not a cheap knife either for what we're getting here, but they are both made in the US. Thank you very much. That is our Mannix XL going head to head with our regular size Mannix G10. What do you think of the Mannixes? Are there any advantages and or disadvantages I missed in this video? Please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe, hit that little bell notification if you do not want to miss weekly knife and gun videos. Mannix out.